exactly. And like he had a routine of how things were and needed to be. And so there's that where he wasn't necessarily like telling us and teaching us this of like, hey, you got to get up at this time and do these things. He wasn't like that. However, he made sure we seen it. He made sure that it was in front of us. You know, he didn't have to be like the strict type of general or anything like that, but we did notice. You had no choice but to notice. I am in a military household, you know, and we saw certain things. I did have friends that had a more strict military household, you know, with the, I mean, sure, we still said yes, sir, no, ma'am, but the way that their house was ran and everything needed to be folded, you know, angles and all this, it wasn't that serious. But there was plenty of lessons that we learned by being a military brat, and being engulfed in a military family, living on base, respecting our elders, being aware of our surroundings, being helpful, and upholding ourselves in an honorable way. You know, certain things like that, which these are a lot of things that at certain points for us, they were unspoken rules. Like we didn't have to talk about it. We knew, you know, you just knew how to carry yourself. You were a reflection of more than yourself. You know, if I did something wrong or disrespectful, and mind you, having to be aware of the people that were around me, because if you do something in the presence of a ranking officer who might be above your father, you know, that reflects very badly. It never happened in my family, but I know some people where, if you were a bad kid, you were doing certain things, and your dad was a high-ranking official. Oh, well, if you don't know how to act, who they going to take it out on? They're going to take it out on him, you know, because it's almost like, well, you don't know how to handle your family. You don't know how to handle your kids. Like, maybe you should not be, you know, teaching this platoon and leading this if you can't lead your own troop. You know, certain things like that.
Yeah, because I like to say a lot of times that, you know, even with kids, you know, when dealing with, and we get off into the coaching and the coaching experience, but a lot of times it's, you know, it's not, you know, what you say is what you do. And as far as the kids are watching, people are watching exactly what's going on. So you can't talk and say one thing this way and then on the other side be doing something else, because again, eventually it's going to come out. And I just feel like with sports, as head coaches or even with coaches, it's a reflection of a team too. So if the discipline is not there, certain things are not there, it's going to show, and then it's going to be a reflection on the coach as far as making sure that certain things are taken care of. So, but how did you get introduced into basketball? Like how did that start off?
No crazy introduction. I think, you know, I saw the game one day. I saw, when I say the game, a ball bouncing, kids playing. I was young. I was about 3 years old. We were at like a family barbecue or something, and we lived in the Philippines at the time. And I was little, but some kids were off playing on a little, like, what do I want to say, little kite hoop, you know, the little one for little kids and whatnot. And people were playing. They were bigger than me, and they were shooting around. But when they left, and they left the ball, and I was left by myself playing, picked it up and shooting around. And it was very simple. And my parents realized it. My dad was watching me because I was only 3, but he was watching me from afar. And like I went to shoot, and the ball got loose and started to go towards the street. And this little kid, a little boy, he might have been 7, ran after it to get it before it hit the street. But I'm thinking he's going to steal my ball. So like next thing you know, like I'm coming at him, and I think I hit him, and my dad just started busting out laughing because one, he's never seen me like play basketball or be so infatuated with the ball, and he was like, I think she likes it, you know, because she doesn't want anyone else to take it. We got to teach her a proper way of playing defense. You know, but that is the story that he loves to tell, because that is true. Once that moment happened, I wanted to play, and I wanted to figure out how to play the game. I was too young to play on a team at 3. I have an older brother who is 3 years older than me, and they had signed him up to play with, like, you know, like a little youth center team. And I would go to all his practices. I would be begging, when can I play? When can I play? And they're just like, you can't yet. But if you want to go outside, you want to shoot, let's do it, whatever. And I would go. We had a court in the back of our house when we lived in the Philippines. And I would go out there and shoot around by myself, but I would certainly go out there if at any point anybody else was out there. And there would be short Filipino men on their lunch break from working construction playing, and I would try and hop in, and they allowed it. They would, sure, come on, shoot, and teach me how to shoot from, like a little granny scoop shot.
Right.
And yeah, and that was really all she wrote at that point early. I knew that, okay, I like this. And any chance I got to play, it could be outside, it could be with adults, it could be, it didn't matter what the group was. So at an early age, I was not worried about the level of competition, the height of the people playing, none of that. I was like, this is a group, they're shooting, they're playing, and I want to play. And that was that.
So what age would you say, like, around? So I know you said what, 3. So like when you really, like, when these men from the Philippines started helping you out, what age, what grade would you say that you kind of really got into it?
Where it clicked, like, this is what I want to
Right.
do. It wasn't long. It wasn't long after that, 9 or 10.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on kids as far as that age right now, just coming full surface and you seeing the game, where the game is? Because I saw one of your posts where you was talking about some of the training and some of the trainers and the things. So, do you think 9 years old is the right age for kids to start getting into it, to really take it serious, or do you think that they should be playing multiple sports, getting the coordination down, getting trying to figure different things out before they say this is the direction that we want to go? What are your thoughts on that?
Different strokes for different folks. Like, I was fixated with the sport of basketball, but that wasn't the only thing I played. That wasn't like, but I would play anything, and like, I was an athlete, and I loved to compete and get out there, run around with the best of them. But basketball was by far my favorite. And for me, like, I didn't have to be told to go shoot around and work out or anything like that. And nowadays everyone's got a trainer, everyone's got this, everyone's got that. But I do think that a lot of parents actually waste money because you're paying for a service and it may not have clicked for your kid yet to work that hard. You know what I mean? Like, they might just be wanting to have fun. And then you're walking a fine line, because here you are paying a trainer to push them, and they might not want to be pushed just yet, right? Like, they want to play. They just having a good time. They might just want to get some shots up. And if you're already turning it into like, no, this is what we're going to do, versus, do you want to do this? Do you want to go to the gym? I think too many parents these days are trying to be too hands-on. Oftentimes they're not waiting for a kid to ask, like, hey, mom, can I get a trainer? Or, I need some help to work on this. They just feel like, well, I heard Michael down the street has a trainer. You need a trainer too. Right. And that is a very different scenario. I've seen so many kids lose their passion for playing the game because they never had time to fully develop it. They never had time to do that. Like, the time that they could be spending running around, playing pickup with their friends, well, mom and dad has already put that on a schedule of, nope, you got training Tuesdays and Thursdays. Remember, you got practice for this on Wednesday. You've got this. And now everything is such scheduled. Like, when do they just get to play because they want to play?
Right. Nah.
And that's very different.
Yeah, no, I think one of the biggest things, is, and I look back on my experience, is just the positive impacts of peer pressure. So a lot of times, like what you said, is kids just want to be around their friends. They want to just have fun. And once they start to see that their friends are doing this and it's a game that their friends like, then that's going to motivate them to kind of get going, because it's just like with anything else. Like, my son, just, anything that he feels like his group of friends are into, that's what he's into. And it's just a matter of time. I think the most important is just cultivate just that environment. And a lot of people don't surround their environment with their kids as far as like dictating the environment that they want to kind of nourish them and bring them up in. Because like you said, it's like one of those things where they're constantly forcing it down their throat. And one of those days, I had a reflection where I was like, I just do not want to have the day where I come home and the basketball is in the trash can because I pushed them too hard. You know what I mean? And it's
no, I I completely understand that. Like how I ended up like loving, eating, breathing basketball so much at a certain point and at an early age was friends, right? To get closer to friends. I like this person. They hoop, okay, and I know I can hoop. Let me get in there, and now we hoop together, and we hooping every day, and
Right.
things of that nature. And then you get better, and you meet new friends. Like I think I wrote an article once. I got to figure out for who, what, where, but like how basketball was always my introduction everywhere we moved. I didn't say anything. I was a kid that had like trouble like meeting new people. I would have anxiety when we moved, so I got to learn new people again. But I didn't have to say anything. Kids were hooping. I can hoop.
Yeah.
Hey, can I play? And then because I was good enough, from then on, they're inviting me everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, she can hoop. We're picking her up, and that was my introduction everywhere.
Yeah.
And like it still is now. If I go to a new spot, a new gym, or something like that. But it was that like I never had a trainer until my adult years. After I'm already like becoming a professional and like I want some extra type of work
Right.
in. You know, my father, he had to really take this in and realize that he was overstepping a boundary, and he knew, and I knew, if you push me at this point, I'll probably be done with it. If you leave me alone, I will be fine and I'll flourish. Because I'll go to the gym all the time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, twice on Saturday, whatever. And then like he's seeing my progress, and now he wants to be more hands-on. He was always around and like coached me up a little bit, younger age. But I'm like, I'm already going to the gym, and it's like, well, we gonna do this and we gonna do this. You messing up my routine of what I do. And I didn't need you to tell me to go before. I don't want you to come all of a sudden and now take over it, because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing what I want. Now I'm doing what you want.
Right.
You know, and stuff like that. When I would normally go to the gym at 4, now you want to take the reins and be like, no, we're going at 12. Well, I don't want to go just because you're saying it, you know, and that's the dynamic between a kid and a parent sometimes. So he had to realize, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to make sure that you have an opportunity if like gyms are closed and you looking to play and you need something. And he had to make sure that he kind of got in the winds in the background of it, because we were starting to butt heads. And I'm like, yo, I love this game, but if you're taking it over in a certain way, I probably won't play it the way that I would be playing.
No, it's just something about the game that just, I mean, just by you saying that, it's like you can be anywhere, and if you know how to, play, a ball is there. You can be around somebody who don't even speak the same language, might not even be around the same type of environment, but the bouncing of that ball, passing it back and forth, you kind of know that right there is going to start conversations, is going to help you be introduced to more folks, a different culture, and then just that swag that just come with it, because it's kind of like, even the kids, I see it now with being in high school, where you can have someone that's real quiet, and then when we talk about just the self-esteem part, if a kid can kind of just figure out how to get in and they know how to play, it could be a kid that's so quiet, might not have any friends, but soon as he had pick up that ball and start bouncing it, now all of a sudden he has friends now. Now he's the person that someone's going to sit with him in the lunchroom, start conversations, and then before you know it, their friendship, things are born from there. So I just think that that's a great thing, as far as like, when we talk about how basketball can basically get you to the point where you traveled all around the world to meet folks, be introduced to different cultures, and then be able to come back and talk about it. So just making that transition, what was it like, just coming from, being around different cultures, and then coming to the Midwest in St. Louis, the St. Louis area, going to high school? Was it a culture shock right off the bat? Did you have to adjust in any type of way, or how was it?
I mean, I certainly had to adjust. Um, I tell people all the time, I felt like a foreigner in my own country at this point. And some of it's due to the timing of when we moved here, like moved here as a teenager, a young teenager, like 13, and just trying to figure everything out, right? There was different vernacular. The way that I spoke stood out. different. It was a different culture. It was, and getting to know people because now all of a sudden I am around Americans for the first time that aren't military brats. So we're living two different lives right across the street from each other in a sense. But I adapted and adjusted much faster than my siblings, and that is really due to sports, honestly.
Hmm.
It's easy to be a new kid that is talented and skillful, and people will sure, okay, yeah, you can hang with us because you do something kind of cool
Right.
or whatever. But yeah, it was interesting. Made a lot of friends, but I also made some enemies early on, simply because here's the new girl, and now people are jealous because here's the new girl and she's good at this. And then, like, I was a teenager heading into high school, so you got to deal with some mean girls a little bit
Hmm.
and dealing with that. So it was interesting, but yeah, that was part of my life.
So,
You know.
so how did the transition as far as like did you take school serious? Like how was the whole approach to, you making this adjustment, you coming into a new atmosphere. How important was taking care of business in the classroom as opposed to just, concentrating and kind of honing your craft? Was it ever a concern that hey, if I want to continue to play, I need to take the game a little bit more serious by studying and taking care of books or different things like that? Like, how did that work out?
So for the most part, I did okay. However, there were times and lapses during my time in high school where sure I should have done better
Hmm.
and I could have done better. Um, High school or my time at school wasn't the greatest. I was so ready to be done and be out and move on to the next level. So I almost did, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but a bit above the bare
Right.
minimum. Now, of course, I know better now, of course, that if I would have busted my butt and got all straight A's and whatnot, things would have been different for me. However, I still was getting a lot of recruitment.
Hmm.
I still, had many options, but the higher your GPA is, the higher the amount of opportunities you get.
Right.
I didn't know all of that then because you're also kind of masked. Like, sure, if I'm getting 30 letters in the mail on a regular basis, I'm not really knowing and understand that I'm missing out on 40 different letters, right? Like, I don't
Hmm.
know that these schools, and this is something that I teach young people. These schools aren't going to necessarily call you and be like, "Hey, I was looking at you, but I saw your transcript, so I'm moving on."
Hmm.
So you don't even know what you're missing.
Right.
You don't know what you're missing, but these schools are recruiting you from afar. They are talking to your coaches. They're reaching out to people that know you through someone else, and they're getting the skinny on you. They're getting how you are, your character, all of these things. And you may not even know that doors are closing on you before you even knew they
Yeah.
were open,
Hmm.
because if you don't have the best reputation on and off the court, if your grades aren't up to par, like all of these things.
Hmm.
So it is, it's vital and it's important to take care of your business as best as you can.
Right. No, I feel like, man, people don't understand how small this basketball community is, and it's just like with
Very
anything
small.
else. It's kind of like if you know someone that hoop, and I tell people all the time that everybody is obsessed. I need to go D1. I need to go D1. I need to go D1,
Mm,
and it's just one of those things where the D1 coaches come to you, and once they come to you, you have to have everything lined up. Like, don't miss your opportunity when they come. Like
yeah,
exactly what you said. When they come, they're gonna just, do the skinny on you, look and see if everything lines up, and then they will continue to recruit you. But if they come in and your stuff is not together, they have maybe 30 or 40 more kids, not just in that class or even in that state, but in that class, and then they're gonna start recruiting the next class and the next class. So you might miss out on things. But it's just interesting to have someone else say that, because here I am, a coach, and the first thing that I get is, man, Coach Turner, man, he didn't give me my letters. He didn't stop, he
yeah,
stopped me from getting to this level. But I'm like, okay, but
yeah,
you sitting around not even taking care of this business. If Mike Krzyzewski walks in the gym right now and he see that, okay, this kid is not here, he's not gonna wait around for you. to, is he going to show up to the weight room or different things like that? He's going to move on. So I just think that that's interesting that you kind of touched on that. So was it a particular coach or a particular school that basically where the light kind of clicked on for you, where you just said, "Hey, man, I need to kind of get it together," or did you have a mindset of I wanted to get to this school, this particular school, and things didn't work out, and I needed to do this? How was that whole recruiting process for you the last couple years?
So, I mean, it was really my mindset, because I was in a space where the people around me didn't have as much information as I would have
Hmm.
liked. Like, I'm the only person, well, I was the only person at the time to go through the process of being recruited.
Hmm.
My family hadn't gone through that before. And I was at a school where the history of the other athletes hadn't been like that either.
Right.
So, like maybe a kid or two might receive a couple letters here or there, but like I was getting flooded. And so like no one else was in my situation to kind of teach me the ropes of that.
Absolutely.
And like I said, when you are someone who's receiving such kind of praise at a young age, and like you're getting letters all day long, like I'm
Hmm.
starting to get letters as freshman, and you see like the University of Indiana,
Right.
has just sent me something in the mail, and you're like, okay. And like, the light bulb really goes off in the beginning of like, okay, I see who's looking,
Hmm.
I can do this. Um, and then you're walking a fine line of trying to figure out, okay, where am I at now? And when it's almost time to sign, and then am I good to go or am I not good to go?
Hmm.
You know, and I reached a point during my junior year for sure of really starting to try and get serious about things, because it's almost time to nail things down.
Hmm.
Talking to my counselors, and they're like, Rebecca, you need to get that grade up. You need to do this here, and making sure that, all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted.
Hmm.
And then I'm realizing, well, I didn't do so well as a freshman in this area, you know, ah. And they're like, that might reflect on you
Right.
later.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just going through the process. You have your trial and error, but I was fixated on one school, and I'm like, I'm not getting any letters from this school. Why am I not on their radar? Trying to figure out that whole
Hmm.
thing. And it was just it was location, being in the Midwest. My dream school was to go to North Carolina.
Okay.
It's the location, right? Like it is. Like they're not coming to Mascoutah too often,
Right.
you know. Um, and then we're trying to figure out the process of AU and select ball. Like,
Right.
what is the hottest team to be a part of?
Hmm.
There was a local team, but no one on that team looked like me.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I wouldn't be too comfortable playing with them, to be honest. And then a team started to develop with like one or two of the best girls from all the schools. So Belleville East, Althoff, O'Fallon, me at Mascoutah, somebody at Carlisle, and we all made a team. And it was cool. And this was the upgrade that I needed in my life
Hmm.
that brought in even more recruitment, because everyone on the roster that I had played with that had the heavy hitters all in the area went to Mizzou, SLU, Indiana State, Lipscomb. Everyone started to go D1. And I'm like, okay, I'm right in the thick of things
Right.
here.
Hmm.
Um, and so by my senior year, still not getting my dream school, and with my grades not being the best, I basically said, you know what, maybe it's best for me to go junior college first, even though I had all these other options. Like I really wasn't even paying them no mind because I was fixated on my number one
Right.
school.
Hmm.
But I figured, like, what else can I do? And I mentioned, uh, what would my other options be, and probably within 24 hours, next thing you know, all these small schools came out of nowhere and were knocking on my door. And what's crazy is their reaction to, I didn't call a press conference or anything, but somebody overheard me,
Hmm.
and it was written up in the paper, for prep sports like the
Oh
next
yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then these small schools came out of nowhere, like five of them within 48 hours, and like, hey, I heard you're looking for other options. And my first thought is, one, like, news travels like crazy fast, but two, where were you guys from the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
And the mindset a lot of times, and this goes both ways from the student athletes and some of these coaches, is like, well, we thought you were too good too good to even look at us.
Mm-hmm.
But when we heard that you were looking for other options, we came running.
Right.
And just like young people that think they're D1 or bust, not even thinking of the other options, right? Like, so it's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm. No, I just think, good quality coaches, and not to, even, speak ill of your, high school program, or different things like that. But I just feel like in those situations where coaches are not used to, coaching high profile talent, like some folks are just blind to certain situations.
Yeah,
And it's no knock on them, but it's a lot of times like
right.
they just don't know. They didn't know that, something would just drop in their lap and not know what to do with it. And I think in those situations, is the good quality coaches have to surround that prospect with more information, and not, just try to. And we living in a world where everybody is crowding around their talent as like, they're gonna make them. Like, Rebecca Harris was gonna be good no matter who decided to coach her in high school, because she had a work ethic, she was working hard. That coach should not try to, take the fame and the blunt of, I'm controlling this, I'm the reason for this. So I think a lot of times coaches need to kind of, let someone else have them, share information, because they may be able to help that student out a little bit more than you may be able to. You know what I mean? In those situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like a lot of times people try to, hog situations, but not to, shine light on that. Um, Coaches need to be informed with different options for students, and I like to tell kids a lot of times, what is your goal? The goal should have been getting a free education, being able to set yourself up for what is life going to be like once the ball stop bouncing. People get so obsessed with, I have to go to that big school, but like you said, when you look for other options, that other option may be the right program for you to get things going. So North Carolina didn't come, but you was able to find another option in another school. So how did the transition go into making the decision to go to Rend Lake? Like, how did that happen?
Um, so uh, I knew that I could use Rend Lake being a junior college as a major stepping stone,
Mm-hmm.
to get to where I ultimately wanted to be, which is at the Division I level. And like for me, and when it comes to playing Division I, when it comes to women's basketball, the amount of female women's basketball players that go from college basketball to playing professional, unless you are Division I, it almost does not happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so my biggest goal was for me to become a professional. I did have plenty of side goals of like wanting to get my education, wanting to go to a prestigious college and get my diploma as well, on a scholarship, because my parents, I didn't think my parents could afford it, but not only that, that was just part of my plan. And so making the decision, I ultimately chose Rend Lake simply because I liked how my visit went. But I went to like 4 different visits for junior colleges. And when I tell you, kids, student athletes, recruits make decisions based on some of the silliest things, or just things that are just secretive to them. Like, you'll never know,
Mm-hmm.
right? They could have had their mind made up of like, I just need one of these schools for a year. It almost doesn't matter who it is. And like, it could be based off of the meal that you had when you went on your
Yeah,
trip.
yeah,
And that was really the deciding
yeah.
factor for me. And I know the coaches would hate to hear that, but it was
The
like,
meals was fire, huh? You said, I got.
it was, it, it was good as it was as good as it could be, but it was what I wanted. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. I don't mind. They showed me a good time. This
Mm-hmm.
is far enough away from home for me to feel like I've gotten away and I could be on my own a bit and do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it checked all the boxes for what
Right.
I was looking for the first stop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, like some of the things that you had mentioned when it comes to coaches, doing some background and research, but also like young people understanding like your coach is not the end all be all when you were at the high school level. Like if you want it bad enough, what work are you doing on your own? And that, perfect segue into the book that I just wrote. How bad do you want it? Because this is what it really comes down to it. If you, as a student athlete, you want something bad enough, your dream is to play ball at a higher level. Why are you leaving that up to everyone else? For you to be able to come back and use it as an excuse. My coach didn't send off my film. My coach didn't give my letters. My coach didn't do this. That wasn't your coach's dream. Your coach is doing his job as far as coaching you. But mind you, you've got, 12 other teammates. He might be coaching JV also. He might be teaching at the school. Like, what are you doing to make sure that your dream is going to come true outside of you just going to practice? So nothing's stopping you from reaching out to the coach of your dreams at the next level. Nothing's stopping you from making sure your games are filmed. You on your phone all day. Your homeboys on their phone all day. When they come check you out, why they ain't giving clips and highlights so they can post it on Snap, YouTube, TikTok. So yeah, in my book, I address so many of these things to let people know, like, this dream is no one else's but yours. So it's actually your responsibility to take ownership of it and to take accountability of how you want it to go. And I list plenty of tips of reaching out. And just some other things that'll help you along the way so that you understand the process, because it can be a crazy process, but there are so many different ways to go about it.
No, I'm glad that you put that out there, because you say how bad do you want it? And the key thing that I just hearing you talk is like, you love the game, and no matter what, nothing was going to stop you from reaching it. And like a lot of times we get discouraged, we get deterred, and it's just kind of like, and everything, a lot of times something is based off what somebody else may think. If you love this game, it's going to be a school for you to attend. It's going to be somewhere for you to play. And if your goal is to, play and make it professional, what's stopping you? Because it's so many options. Like, I just think back to, me graduating, and I was at the infant stage of the internet. And, we just had maybe one or two websites that we can go check our stats and just check information out. But like what you said, there's so many different options. That's what's stopping you from getting your film in the hands of a Conzo Martin or Travis Ford. Like, I ask, do they know you? Why come they don't know you? You need to be putting something out that's making you marketable for them to see you. And a lot of times, like you said, everybody is walking around with a computer in their hand 24/7. What are you doing with that? Or you marketing yourself, or you're going to blame someone else for the things that you say you want. But a lot of times you just talking. You really don't want it, because if you really wanted it, is nothing would stop you. So what?
Like,
So talk about that and transition, and tell us more as far as what encouraged you to start putting a pen to the paper, to start journaling this and writing this down.
I mean, so at this point in my life, I've played professional basketball, 12 different seasons, overseas, back and forth, summer seasons here in the St. Louis area. But I've also had stints of coaching at the high school level, coaching at the college level, and I also worked for an AAU circuit, Blue Star Junior Nationals, USJN, Nike for like 8 summers. And so I've seen so many different parts of this game from the point of view of a player to a coach, all of these things. And I would have people ask me questions all day, every day. How do I make it? How do I become a professional athlete? How do I get to your school, coach? How can I play for you? Things of that nature. And I started putting it all together. I was on my way to an away game in Germany, and I received a message, like I often do, a Twitter DM from a freshman out in California who had seen, like, in one of my profiles somewhere of me being a former coach at Renly College. And they're just like, hey, coach, I looked at your profile. I just had a question. Like, how can I get from point A to point B? And I answer these easily. People contact me, I respond back. And I'm on this long bus trip in Germany, and I just took out my laptop and started writing all the questions that I usually get asked, and then the answers with them. And next thing you know, it turned into a book. And these are things that I live on a regular basis. Each chapter of my book is probably something that I answer all the time,
Mm-hmm.
every day. I probably get like on average 10 questions a day, whether they come from somebody tagging me on Twitter, Facebook, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, people being in my DMs, student athletes, or their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put it all together. And like one of the first questions or one of the first things, people always talk, oh yeah, I'm trying to get to the next level. Coach, I'm trying to, any college coaches looking for, a player like me. And, one of the first things I'm asking them is, wait, have you talked to your own high school coach first? Simply because that is your first real networking relationship. And if you have never expressed to your coach, like, I'm trying to play at a higher level, then I'm not going to say that's dead, but it's dead. Because if you haven't expressed that, how does your coach know that you want to do that bad enough that they go to bat for you more than they go to bat for everyone else? There's that, right? And two, if you haven't had this conversation, why? Why are you afraid to have this conversation? Is it because you haven't put your best foot forward for the team that you are on? Like you don't take care of business where you're at. You don't attend all your practices. You don't go 110%. Like your coach is always getting on you to at least show up. Your grades aren't on par. And like, so I get all the answers of why you are not going to make it, because you don't really want it bad enough. You're just talking stuff right now. It sounds good. But if you are really taking care of the things that you should be taking care of, it is very easy for someone else to lend a helping hand because you look like you really want it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And people are always willing to help someone that's already helping themselves.
Right.
Because it's nothing for me for the people that hit me up in my DMs and they show me, hey, Coach Harris, I saw this. Look, can you check out my tape, my highlight tape here? My name is so and so. I'm a 5'8" point guard from Nova Scotia, Canada, whatever. And they're already giving me everything.
Mm-hmm.
And all I got to do is hit send to my homeboy who is a head coach in, South Carolina or, this Coach Law in, Tennessee or what. That's all I got to do.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I can give you some feedback. You know what? I'm going to send this to the other coaches I know. You look like you're taking care of business. I see your transcript.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, it's very easy. But if you don't have anything to show that you really want to work for something, I'm not putting my name and reputation on the line to send things off,
Man, it's crazy because it's just like I'm listening to you talk, but it's funny because it's like we already knew each other in a whole lifetime ahead because it's the exact same conversations that I have, and it's again, it's funny that people don't understand that people who've been around this game since the age of 3, since high school, that we've had so many years invested in as far as of this game that it's nothing for us to just right off the top of the dome. We can see it, we can spot it out. That again, why would you risk a reputation of people already know you to just send them some junk? And I tell people a lot of
right,
time, I'm not in a position to give out scholarships at the college level. But what I maybe can do is put you in front of someone who can and let them tell you the information that they need in order to get you in that school. But a lot of times is if you're not doing this for me, what do I look like putting my name out there for you? Because they're not gonna tell, oh man, I'm not answering the phone call for BT because he sent me some junk last time or anything like
right,
that. So now it's just funny that you say that because these are conversations that are pretty much I have on a daily basis when it comes to stuff like this. But no, I feel like just by you writing that type of stuff down, you getting that information out, it's inspired me. I'm pretty sure it's inspired a lot of coaches that I talk to make sure that that this information gets shared. So I'm just glad that you was able to give me a little time to kind of talk about this. Any way that I can, I'm gonna help push it out there because I feel like this is some vital information that folks need to hear. And yeah, you doing a great job, putting it out there. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I really want to use my position, my platform on all my social medias to really be the person that I wish I had growing up through this type of space,
Hmm.
through sports and being recruited and always trying to get to my next level, but not having the answers. I learned a lot of things through trial and error, but when you are a part of sports and in the coaching world and whatnot, like you just see it all the time. I see lots of potential around me, but then you only see like a small percentage of the people who got it hands down and really understand that it takes a lot more. Like, don't rely on your potential. Like, put in the work on and off the court, on and off the field. If you really want it, the right people will see that. And there are so many different ways to make it to the next level. Maybe you don't get a scholarship right away, but if you have shown that, hey, you're willing to work for it and earn it, and maybe you're a walk on right away instead, in 1 year of being a walk on and getting it out the mud, or you're a manager for a year,
Hmm.
you know, I I know people that wanted their next level so bad and found a way to get it from starting their own professional team to taking a chance and going overseas to teach English and find where they can hop on a team overseas and become a professional. Like, there are so many ways to make it happen if you really want it. And it comes from pushing yourself, opening doors that you thought were closed and trying to, make it happen that way, networking, um, building relationships, but really putting yourself out there.
Hmm.
Nobody can help you if they don't know that you really trying to make it happen.
Right.
Social media is crazy. All these kids with private accounts or no real posts about what they really are working on.
Hmm.
No, no one's going to see that.
Right.
But mind you, if you were the kid that posts consistently a workout of you getting it in, and it doesn't have to be crazy with a trainer or
Hmm.
a super talented videographer, but if you're posting yourself, I'm getting up shots, I'm really working on my game. A coach can look at that consistency and be like, yo, he did this every day for a year. Like, I see him working. I think I want to get him a chance. I wonder what he looks like in the gym. Maybe I can give him a call and just say, come in front of me
Right.
and have an open gym tryout. Like, these things lead to so much bigger things.
Hmm.
I tell kids all the time, oh, if you're serious, well, post yourself shooting, post yourself working out. Like, you
Hmm.
can develop your own game film if you're not currently on a team. And
Hmm.
let's see what you look like, because the coach would love to see what you look like rather than just hearing you talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, nah. So what you got? You got coming up. You got your virtual book launch coming up this week. So plug everything that you have, and then once we
Okay.
get off, I'm gonna make sure I'll pub it up, send it all out, because like I said, you got some very very valuable information that folks need to hear. So go ahead.
So I've got a virtual book launch coming up this Friday. It'll be midday. So for anyone that is listening, it'll be midday. So if you are a parent of an athlete and you are on your lunch break and you want to check it out and see what we're talking about when it comes to the book, I will have a couple of guests on there that will talk about their story and how they became, or they came to reach their next level of athletics. Also, you can pre-order my book now on my website, www.rebecca30harris.com. I'll be having some more tips. I post some videos, some other content. I will have some downloadables that are here to help not only student athletes, but their parents and some coaches at certain levels, AU, high school, just to reach as many young people as possible and help them navigate not only through sports but through life. Because sports is a gateway and introduction to how we go about life and build discipline and accountability and so much more, teamwork and leadership. So yeah, that's what I do.
Hmm. So no, so throw all your socials up there, Rebecca Harris, at what, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Throw everything out there.
So you can find me on TikTok at Beck Harris 30. You can find me on Twitter as well at BeckBeck8630. I'm an avid uh, tweeter, just talking sports, life, general, hot topics. I love interacting with the young people, young student athletes. But also, if you're just big into sports and you want to see people do well, yeah, so you can find me.